Okay, we are recording now. I am doing some testing. No idea whether my voice is going to be too loud. I'm supposed to be doing 2 tracks now. No idea. I changed even the video encoder type to a higher quality, and then a low latency for audio. And anyways, this is just a test. I have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe there's no audio. No. Maybe you can't hear me. Maybe you can. Maybe it's too loud. I know before when I was putting my recordings, I mean, in the room when I'm recording, it sounds good. But then when I replay it online, when the motor of the car is too loud and it drowns out my voice. So I want to get that point so you can hear me. Otherwise, you can't follow the conversation. And then that way, if you can hear me throughout it, you can see it on the transcript. Or you can see it, you can hear it. Or you can see it or read it in the closed captioning. Because I noticed the closed captioning works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. But anyways, we're going to go in. What car I'm going to do? Something good. Be a Dodge. Maybe got a lot of views. We did the McClaren F1 the other day. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I mean, maybe that's the key to success on YouTube. I got like 1,000 views or something. Normally, because I'm always shadow blocked, so I am shadow blocked or shadow banned from YouTube. I have been for years. I've actually had tons of accounts canceled because I used to do meme work for a lot of Instagrammers, and I'd do something or put a video up, and then someone would report it, and it was just a crap thing. But you know, you get 500 people report you, they delete your channel. But it didn't really matter to me. I didn't care because I don't do this for money. I'm not even they won't even let me monetize. They actually offered me to monetize. I was getting all kinds of views, and then I went to go apply, and they said, no, you can't apply. Yeah, so I can get all the, you know, I can qualify, get all the views and everything else, and you know, enough people, followers. But I mean, you know what? I'm not in it for that. Who knows? But actually, when I release my, let's leave, get into the road. I'll just start driving. Hopefully, the audio's not too loud. And I think that's the same color as what I had before. The bronze, silver bronze, titanium. Pretty cool. Go inside. And you know what? You're right in the middle. That's what DB should get. They don't even have to get that. They talk to that guy that did the McClaren F1. He's got his same kind of design. It's got 3 seats. And then Damon can drive, and Dave and whoever, JWW, myself, anyone. Well, I'm not sure who can fit in. I'm not sure the size, but I think there's enough room. You have 3 people in there, and then have all your, or just even if they had 2, you know, they could have the bags on the one side, and the other person could sleep on the other side. Although I'm not too sure how friendly that'll be with video recording. So, anyways, let's go. I don't feel on that. I saw a video that was delivered. Have some sort of a phone. I do have it's like a yeah, and I can actually using semen. Now, I think you have to be at a higher frequency. I'm not even sure if it'll work for everyone, but and it has to be within a certain rate or temperature. But you can create a child just with semen. Yeah, semen, you need an egg. my technique. And then you can inject godlike skills. So, to give an example, I could inject healing into that clone. So through its hands, and actually it can suture, or bring skin back together, just like the Matrix. Actually, those skills are almost like the Matrix, where he brought that girl back to life. You can heal. The person's not dead. You can heal the person. You can actually cell regeneration to reverse age. Yeah, so I'm 59. I'm a little different. I'm a finely tuned athlete, and because I'm at a different energy level, there's natural healing and other abilities that I have when I'm in that frequency. Now, it's hard to stay in that frequency, but imagine if I could put that skill. I think I can figure out a way. I think I can reflect it rather than go into a clone myself. I'll do the same device and the same process. So I'll have it reflected and injected into myself through frequency. So then I can maybe, and the duration, the frequency, I'm not sure exactly, because I know with the cloning, it's like a 72-hour cycle, and it's like with the donor has to be within a meter of the manger incubator, and when the organism, as long as you got enough in the cabbage, you have enough moisture rate in there so that it can produce the organism, the clone. But what you do is when you put enough in there, there's a frequency for a certain duration. It's 72 hours. I think that clone could be results of morning, and it'll have all the memories of myself. And then I can get other memories from the future, get a little bit, so that it'll automatically know every terrestrial language. Yeah. And it can communicate with telepathy. It can do telekinesis with matter, and then there's like a cycle after the clone's born. It doesn't have to spend time. It just has to practice with the moving the mercury just to dial it in. But this is like crazy stuff. I can put in cell repair and stabilization, so the clone will never age. Yeah, and then if it gets injured, it'll automatically repair itself. And then if another person gets injured, it can repair that person. Yeah, so you can clone yourself, and then if it can cellular use, so you can clone yourself, and then you can get that clone to repair yourself, and bring your age back. But you're not immortal, cloning. Yeah. So it's something like almost like it's a pure biological creature. And I can actually use chimera, but you actually persuade per se. And that's just cutting on. I don't even know if the audio is not deep or not. Anyways, I just take food. I think that's one cell. Put it in there with the another, they don't even need an egg, like fiber, and then they'll actually merge them together. So your girlfriend can't have kids because she's got a, like, I have kids. I just need kids. So my girlfriend, if I wanted a kid, I just take that DNA over there, and then I accelerate it, takes 72 hours, I'll get it going, so I can all kinds of things. Yeah, so it's, there's a whole process, and I know the process. I got to they know how to drive these real areas. It's almost like drive uses quantum. It doesn't have a motor. It gets into a state where it gets interfered because it's at a frequency. Almost like I think it's singularity. And from there, you put your hands, so I would say I'm the pilot, and it recognizes my DNA, and it's like a neural network, just so you know. And it'll use thoughts. So it's using myself. Now, it's right, you have to be, pilots have to be at a higher frequency, so you know how to use quantum thoughts. You gotta be at a frequency level, which I know how to do. I can know how to do it. But what it does is it just instantaneously, it almost like opens up the fabric of time, because the quantum thought and the motor, which is inside the pilot, it thinks about going, say, from one side of the country to the other side. It almost like rips open a wormhole and goes there, because they're inside like almost like a bubble. They don't actually physically travel there. They just use the quantum, it's almost like a quantum teleportation. Yes. And there's all different variations of this technology, and using that, applying it to real serious, which is craft. That's what I use that in Tesla, goes in as well. It's got a flux capacitor too. You could have that automatic capacitor. Got two others that are quantum with the stabilizing stuff. You gotta wear type of, you go somewhere, you gotta wear it's a bio-reflective material for them. Create a paradox. While you're traveling, you know, you're going to go through almost like a wormhole, and you'll see your own ship beside you. You look at your own car, you cannot look at that car. You look at your own shape. So instead, you'll vaporize both. I don't know if it's gone forever, or if they just goes back, the other person goes back to the front. But there are rules, protocols, quantum, and that's actually how I look at a lot of my quantum curve.
You keep bringing me grandma with a flag, you're gonna be reading one ass. Now go get me something with some action.
No quantum connection. Target. Yeah. That do that. That doesn't. So now it's all these things never like that. You just like patterns, textures.
Darius, we can't leave the cops to this meet.
Why not? Here, those guys will take care of them.
Yeah, pretty cool. So I'm not even starting to do that. I got the full design, how to do it, but just the game component. Every generation days. Maybe $2, perfect. I hope that, but I would like to see it for that both happen. So don't let it go back. But I'll just someone say is regeneration, but I think it does have how that works. It's at the cellular level. It's not time traveling to the future, but it's the quantum effect from the kind of but I'm not sure if I have to get the donor or the person that you feel up to a certain station to my technique that I know how to do. And I know they're going to do what I do.
Nice driving, Craig. 5 months worth of lessons, you're finally getting the hang of this now.
Where I run there, there's like a red hot girl. I girl but hot. Something in the red, and I just started glanced over, and I knew I had a quantum link with her aura, her energy. She detected my. I started to look at it. Not kidding you. I don't witness it. Oh, saw this happen. So straight up. Said, oh, I felt it. Maybe just say, I want to have that right now. Like, let's go to watch it. And I could connect to dinner. Now I got a girlfriend. I can tell her, no, my friend, part of it. No, I said, because when I had my girlfriend manifested perfection, I tried everything by working. So if I worked with them, I was going to be really good looking. If I would, even if I would be with them, I would, but I would always think about yeah. So I can keep it down, but looking at the light, but yeah, if I was looking at it, yeah, those are where not so this one out. I can feel her. I get that everywhere. Well, I gotta get that old world church right there. That's go outside. See that round window? Right there? Down back, that fingerprint, it's like a snowflake. But that's the building is that's why they go down like 3 or 4 stories or 10 stories or whatever, because they're taking all the whatever the material that they need, and when that material knows what the purpose is to build a certain structure, it just realigns itself from the ground up and be subconscious of all the molecular atomic level of those particles. Know where to go, and because it's being done manifested from the 4D of science, where there is no mass, space, or time. So they just go to the proper spot instantaneously. It's like it's just like when a snowflake, a raindrop is created, or you got to change the state to whatever, condensation, and that's how kind of geothermal principles and everything do work. So just basically just realigns everything. And it doesn't even have to move anywhere, even though you see it just appearing. But it's just kind of like when you're traveling in this craft or that I have to drive for, you're traveling dimensionally. There is no state, so you're just like drifting through time. Yeah, it is possible. But essentially that's what it's doing. It's just realigning 5D fluid. Now even if I didn't have to facilitate it that's why you see that radiation look like light because they are. Look at that. Watch what I did. See the, I didn't even realize you did it. Look. Look, that's the barrel. Cool. So I'm gonna get the chase, but that's what happens. So they just boom, they just go up. And they go and they do it in certain spots where they maximize the energy, and then they'll have like the top of the thing at the top, like a pointing north, so it can maximize. That's where the magnetic energy lines are. They're north. So it's pointing north to maximize coming in, and it's just basically almost like a positive and negative, like a battery. And the mass of the stone that's been reassembled, and when it reassembles, it comes into 3D. So the perfect formation with the knowledge of what those particles should be in shape, whether it's an archway, for the purpose of shelter, strength,
just a trouble magnet.
What it does, that's why it's got those clocks on it. A lot of them used to have, like, I know one building in my city, and a clock on it. That is, and then there's these bells. The bells, like you said, you've got lights, then it's the thing that we're called the it's got rails, it's got stone, it's got wires, but you have to have a lamp post, made of certain is set up and I could just buy that on this guy. But so what it does is it maybe it's a circuit board network but the status of the particle level, the atomic level, the constant. Just like the radio, and they're all connected. So you got that's how they
hell, I should really stop baiting these guys.
Because they're alive. And then what happens is people repurpose them, and then they use that light. It's still there instead of perfect structure, but then they would be deteriorating if they don't have ether energy in the network going through them. So a lot of these ether energy networks are full when it was injected at the time, like they didn't know what it was, so they figured out a way to pull other methods to do them, gas, portable gas, or whatever. But they didn't realize that it's all part of the life. So when they're doing that, it's purposely. Wow, this car is actually get around. Way more light ones than we thought. And there's another up, like I said, there's a bit of a car. A lot of times that'll be the one. But that's going to take the timeline of the thing. Yeah. But anyway, it's a living, it's like a living built living thing, and the clock goes off, and the lights are on the street lights to let everyone know that it's alive. Yeah. So if the lights are out, then you know that that little node is not functioning. That's the way it works. And it felt really cool because when it's active in the motor, it's now the one, look at that building over there, well, the pillars. The pillars right up, the pillars are strength and perfection. For, you know, the purpose is also to add that's why you got some of the fires, some of the other.
Nice driving, Craig. 5 months worth of lessons. You're finally getting the hang of this now.
Then you're setting frequency. But if the valve goes off, which the valve, so the energy is going in and winding the clock, always, and then it winds up. It's like a watch. And the battery is ether, and then when the clock creates, or when it gets to a certain time, it activates the valve, and it hits the valve and starts going to frequency of beat. So you would know that every hour you're going to get so many.
You keep bringing me grandma with a flat, you're gonna be reading one ads. Now go get me something with some action.
If you got enough valves, all your hospitals have them over the bed.
Serious, we can't leave the cops to this meat? Why not? Jericho's guys will take care of them.
Like I said, a lot of these they invoke principles that have been figured out with the stuff like that. Like so that's part of the perfection of the design. And the reason why the buildings are locations, like in my town, the churches, the rich side stuff, and they were there. There weren't people that built them, but why were they there? Now, they were probably originally there, but they could have been a wood structure. They were a wood structure to use some sort of energy, or a lesser structure. And then what happens is, it's like a human resonance of Earth, so that is a frequency going up, and Earth will respond to something of that human resonance, and then automatically takes, or it's got to quantum thought invokes it. I mean, it could be both. It could be natural or maybe structure, depending on the intensity of emotion resonance. Or now my energy is high, and amplify that quantum energy with emotion, and the highest amplification is love.
Cut that way too close.
We are we both have the same name, and JK, and we both have energy, but those two companies, not just good, that I got mine. My father had it. Actually, my father born Holy Grail that he carried down as a temple. And then also, I didn't know anymore. I realized I found that all low key. But I had practice all my life that I was on. I adored. I also got relation where I got honored and medal with Templars. Yeah, in Chicago. I got that on my Yoda. So I've had, and then I did go back to the Curling Castle. But you gotta remember, I'm not sure if the thing was reflect back and I see these castles that I think, ones that Cologne one and other castles built. And I don't know if I remember that, I was vivid, in one day of the world. Why am I doing that when it is when you're speaking to people, you affect and then other people are stuck into it, and I spoke with them, and then other people are doing it everyone kind of rises up for everyone that took my time has no place. That's why animals are affected. But these buildings, they upgrade themselves too. And that's why you're seeing all these, because they need to get, buildings that could have been destroyed, they could have come from this. But they didn't have, obvious reasons why they put them in. Because now you do, there's no technology for it, it's not blocked, how do they just get proof? Well, that's because maybe the century timeline, you don't think it's like a heaven. It's almost like a level. So they become a higher level of perspective. And it's no different than trees, like you look like a forest. So a tree gets cut down, or gets knocked over by the storm. The roots of the other trees that have saved that. And that's, to its subconscious. So that's what you hear about self-healing, concrete stuff, because it's alive. Yeah, because it's been put into it, so then there's subconscious active, part of that. And as long as you're connected to the network and receiving that etheric energy, which actually does the healing and the regeneration and the creation and manifestation, then it maintains the perfect health of that structure, or grows it. That's why you get these cathedrals, they keep on growing bigger, because they are. Yes. So it's a tree. But it's an animal object that is subconscious part. And if we decide, or I know that they've done a lot of things. I at a different level as far as how it works, but there's a lot of reasons why I got a 4-year history of 1379. It's trauma, and like the week before, with my leg. Well, went to the hospital Friday, broken leg. I did the sports broken leg, so I put a brace on it, and I had to go see that on Monday, and I took the priest, the healing, the church, Catholic church, on the rest of it, he did some procedure with his family all the time. So when I felt my leg, I thought they were telling everyone right? It all turns out vibrating. What? I just tell it. What the hell? I thought it was just like well, it was like 9,000. I was like, what's going on? So then went to the sports doctor university. Of course, they got the X-rays that I take on Friday. They're both on it. And they took new X-rays and they put them on the board. They break in my leg healed. They couldn't believe it. They had 2 sets of X-rays. They called it all over London. Had to see this. And then my mother, what happened? And I was pulled up and what happened? And they said, they got physiotherapy. I was back skating within a week. But I missed the contact because I still had the race on it. So I therapy my like, oh wow, back and forth here. Yeah, so that's what I needed something. Because experiments, thought experiments, other meditations, just on my own. And then when I would get feedback or something from friends, I said, get it, it works. And the more I did it, the more I was improving. Yeah, it's really good. And it's all based on positive. Yeah, amplified the emotion. So it's really careful because you can, dwelling on stuff like that, reflect that back. Yeah, it's real basic to myself because I go such at a high level with the mind aspect. So you look at this and look at my presence. You reflect yourself. Core stuff that's going on. Reflect myself. So I said that some people don't like it. It's not someone else or something. I know this and I kind of know how that happens. You have to get you're acting like up. And when that happens, it's paranormal abilities and probably other buildings. I know how to construct them. I but anyways, I can't. But you don't have to really afraid. You have to do the same thing. The donor love the call. Be a clone. Level up on a higher resonance if you're going to reflect the resonance of the donor. So you can get a rogue clone. But I'm afraid that if that technology goes, that an evil person can clone themselves and be evil, which I don't think that'll happen because I think evil is too low. So that's why I think it's really people who get a lot of people that are high themselves, they themselves that. Yeah, like I said, I'm putting it all together, but I have it all figured out. A lot of it I have it in my head. I know how it works. That's it. Gathering the words. So, it's pretty difficult when you're going through that. Great stuff. It's like, how do you explain this? That's why, cut off, yeah, so that's like part of it. And with it, whether and by first knowing what to do, whether it's easier, so you get into a higher level. That's what happens so that everything becomes fine. That, if a real high level frequency, you're actually getting energy from ether. You actually food, like food, but actually will increase your will. You actually have sex off the ether. how to activate, how to use it, how to everything and how it works, the rules, the laws of rules, and that's all things that positive. A lot of that is by yourself.
Come on, John, keep it together.
I got
Got it.
But yeah, I'm sure if I absorb I do not. There's still a lot of weird stuff there, I think, but I'm not a normal person, and I know that. I don't think it's weird. It's got a birthday really good. I'm always
Whoa, hey!
But I do know how to react. I'm not pretty sure I'm so that I don't want to experiment. I want to, let you do anything. But you have oh yeah, it's the real, isn't it? It's gone down.
Stay frosty, John.
Stay frosty, darling. Good side. I like that it's so accurate. And I'll do one more too. Hey, that's how everything works. Good. I do a lot of those.
Oh, come on, John. What's got into you? Is that their best shot?
John, I'm just being realistic. You've never raced before.
Okay. car. Okay, from the outside. And let's just go into kill director. Now we'll just watch a bit of that. I'm going to go out and turn off this volume. I just want to see if there's, I mean, who knows, maybe you can't hear anything. But I got to wait till it gets in it because I've had it crash on me if I do it before it's fully running. So I got to let the director go and load. Yeah, so hit X there. Okay, it's loaded, going. Now I'm going to come back in. volume's back. Do not know if it's even working. Shows the end of it. I'm gonna end it here. Like I said, I have made huge gains in figuring out attracting success, and a lot of times you don't know where it's coming, but you know it's going to come, and that's my problem from before. Because even when I first started Super Geek, I knew I could see into the future, because when you connect to the source, there's no, everything is the past, present, and future is all happening or happened at the same time, so to speak. So what happens is you get intuitions of wrong doing, and you also get intuitions of success. So you end up becoming impatient because you misread things, because you think that this is going to happen because you can already sense that this is going to happen, but you think it should happen right then. When it doesn't, then you get frustrated because you're thinking it's being sabotaged when you're really self-sabotaging it. It's kind of weird. It took me a while to figure that out. So it's almost like now it's like you want to just do the shadow work and then just let it play out, because if you try to force it, it won't happen. Or if you try to if you're impatient, you could sabotage. So yeah, there's some weird stuff, but I figured out a lot of stuff on what works and how you get into that state. And if you get out of that state, then chaos ensues, and it's really weird, and a lot of it's not intentional. So, but you got to respect your power, because when, like I said, there's special abilities, and you have to know. Now you don't. It's really weird because you don't really know how it works, and you're kind of receiving the knowledge and the intuition of how it works without knowing. And then, like I said, even when I got the downloads and the diagrams and schematics for the time travel Vril chariot and other, I even got weapons, defensive weapons that'll, someone runs at me and say I time travel, I got this weapon. If I have to use it, I can teleport that person into another point in a timeline. Yeah, it's like a teleportation ray gun. Then there's another one. There's two devices. Actually, I got the designs too, and the names of them. Yeah, I can even tell you what they are and how to make one. But a lot of those things I've just gotten them recently, but that's only because I've interfaced with AI to extract that through a download. It's kind of weird now how that works. So, but like I said, I'm pretty confident that these diagrams, schematics, and everything else, it could be useful. Imagine if I could create this ether manger and put humans in there that are sick and just regenerate them. Yeah, kind of like out of the Fifth Element. When they took a particle of Mila Jovovich and her body was just 3D printed. That's exactly what this would be. But I don't think it would be a 3D printer. I think it would just, boop, it'd just be there. Or if maybe it would grow. I'm not sure if it would just start have glowing then appearing. I don't think it would be like, like a printer head. But it's kind of weird because even stuff in the Matrix, that's all coming through. So it's almost like Hollywood knew everything and they were kind of leading you on. Or maybe it's I've created those movies or manifested them, and they were injected back to teach me something from the future. Yes, because the Matrix came out in 1999, one of my favorite movies, like Lord of the Rings, and a lot of them, which Lord of the Rings has wizards. And if you connect with the source, you could be classified as a sorcerer. Yes, or a wizard, or a warlock, or a witch. And I've always had connections with Gandalf the Grey. Friends that used to always call me Gandalf the Grey when I had premature graying. And then my designs, I knew how that works with, you know, the rods or the staffs and the crystals on the end, and how that helps amplify. And then the wizard hat that also brings the ether in more efficiently, which is energy at the quantum level. So I don't know, I should make myself one of these crystal staffs and, wow, point it and maybe I'll send a fireball. And it's really weird because I did have an experience one time. I was watching that ostrich standoff where the police were going to injure or kill the ostriches, and they eventually did. I think they actually brought in the Chinese AK-47 people to massacre them, which is, I wouldn't be surprised, liberal government. But anyways, I was angry that they were doing this to these innocent animals, and I was watching the live screen on the camera, and I was getting really angry at these CFIAs. And then, I'm not kidding you, on that camera, I saw a fireball go through the air. And then all of a sudden there was a fire in the hay over on the other side on the camera. And they're going, oh, there's a fire. Someone set a fire. Yes, it's... So then when you see that, then it's kind of like, wow, did I cause that? I think I did. And that could have been amplified emotion of anger that caused that. Not knowing, but it was to do right. So that's why God allowed, or the source allowed it to happen, because it's defending life. And that's what the source, everything, when it builds these structures, when the earth is a living creature to preserve life. And then you got other dimensional beings that I think are watchers, and you can't see them because they're at a frequency you can't see. So they can be walking right beside you or floating through the air and you can't see any of them. And that's how they work their cloaking devices on the ships. They actually go to a higher frequency that's not visible by humans. But I'm at that frequency, so I can see them. Yeah, so I see a lot of weird stuff. Yes, when I'm at these frequencies. You know, you see stuff out of the corner of your eyes, or I'll see different in the sky. I'll see a ship. Yes, I'll look at a star and I realize that's not a star. Yes, or I'll see stuff, animals will appear. Like last few days, hundreds of birds. It's just like that Jim Carrey film where he was like, was he Jesus or God or something? But anyways, he had, when he was getting into his powers, he had animals following him. That's like me. I got like fucking 200 birds in my backyard, and owls and eagles and hawks and buzzards and you name it. Yeah, it's really weird. Even like clearing the sky, I've had times where I've gone out and I go outside in a certain frequency, and everywhere in London it's raining, but it's not raining over top of my house. It's blue sky. Yeah. So there's abilities to clear the atmosphere and make everything in alignment. And that's when you're healing someone, you're realigning that biological creature at the atomic level. Or if you're bringing them back to life through, which you can do, you can have that ability. I can put that, inject that into my clone DNA, or try to do it myself, and then I could heal. Or and that's what Jesus could do. And that's weird because my initials are JK, and yeah, same with my girlfriend, same with my father, my son. My son's got weird powers. Like, I've known this for years. He was like 2 years old, and he could turn on the computer and play these shooting games, racing games, and no one's there. He'd just by seeing me or osmosis, he learned it, and he would learn everything about computers, not even realize how good he is. And then I would watch him when he's playing Call of Duty or any of these games on the PC. He's like 7 years old, and he's quick scoping and, you know, headshotting people running and doing this, and he's doing it so fast. I can't not even see in the scope. And he's just like, yeah, it's like nothing. Then he was playing, I remember he was playing Fortnite. He was so good. He didn't care about, he's not be a pro, but his stats were so good. 2 NHL or NFL players looked up his stats, and he was like this top person, but he's not professional athlete. So they contacted him, and they would pay him to be the bodyguard and play with them. So my son would play with these 2 NFLers. I forget their names. They weren't like, top famous ones, but you'd recognize them. And my son would play Fortnite with them, and they would pay my son to be the bodyguard on Fortnite, because my son was like, he was like a machine. But imagine if he fine-tuned his frequency and his awareness of his abilities. Oh my, he's like an X-Men. And that's what I think it is. It actually, that's where X-Men comes from. All the super abilities, all those can be injected. I could, there's another ability that I know, the one gun is, so say you go back in time and you got to shoot someone with this gun, it just slows a person down. So all of a sudden they're just like sitting still, and then you run away. So they've actually neutralized that time in that timeline for the person, or I'm not sure if it's everyone in it but you, or just that person in that area or within a radius. Yeah, and that happened in the X-Men. One guy had the power to do that. They had one that could shoot lasers out of her eyes. I think I can do that too. I mean, that's a dangerous one. You don't want to start everything on fire if you get mad. But that's how it's all worked on emotions. That's how they had to learn how to control it. It's so weird that everything that I'm learning aligns with so many movies like Matrix, that. And now, is it myself that created those movies and sent it back in time so I could learn that as I grew up? Makes you think. Yes, yes, it does, because it could, that thought and the concept could just inject itself, boom, right in the timeline, and then find the right moment to be created. And I know Keanu Reeves, he's in a lot of these films about this topics, and you got that fallen angels dogma, and I think maybe Keanu Reeves is one of those persons, like me. Pretty sure. I actually sent him a message. I wanted to, maybe he wants to make a movie about all these downloads that I'm getting, and it would make a great movie. I mean, I used to see it's like science fiction on steroids, but it's actually not fiction. That's the weird part. It's non-fiction. It's real. Yeah, so it makes you kind of wonder. But how I developed these abilities. And I knew something was there, but I always thought it was just a figment of my imagination. But now I know. And like what's happened in the last few years, and then it all ties in. So even stuff in the past that I didn't know for sure, I do know now. Yeah, and I do know how to um, get in a state. And like a lot of times you don't know. It's not like you can just think, okay, I want to do this or want to do that. It's getting yourself in the state, and then it just comes to you, whether it's saving someone's life or coming across an accident where you're gonna, or stopping an accident, or preventing your death, or yes, it just happens. Everything works out good in your air or aura, because you got protection so that your body will get a bubble around it and just become weightless, which is one of the components of frequency for time travel. Yeah, so it all kind of interrelates, but it interrelates with um, everything I've seen in my timeline. But is that only in my timeline? And then if you see it, is it because it's in my timeline, you're in my timeline, so the memory's injected, so you're just going to, that's always been there, but maybe it wasn't. Yeah, you got to think about these things. Anyways, that is it. Duke, stop recording. Ciao. Arrivederci. Duke out. Oh, one last thing. I do have to get clarity, and I send them emails, and I don't I got 40,000 emails, but how to make contact. Just discuss this with either Damon or Dave or Dan Martell or any of them, just to, or even Elon Musk, just to, it's not to, agree on something. We're not, no contract or whatever. It's just more a consensus of where we should go or the direction, or do I just, be the hermit and manifest out of my basement? Which technically that's what I've been doing. I mean, people would think, okay, you're not doing anything. I know what I'm doing, and I know how to do it. Yes, it can be done. You can do all that. Well, we're gonna end it. Stop recording. Ciao.